Chapter 13.26, Water Conservation of the Corona Municipal Code relating to watering restrictions and delegation of authority to declare water conservation stages. Also, for this item, there's a red line version for the ordinance. Again, it's available here on the dais and also from the city clerk if anybody would like a copy from the city clerk. Mr. Daly.
Good evening. The Department of Water and Power requests consideration of an emergency ordinance under Water Code Section 376, amending various sections of Chapter 1326, Water Conservation of the Corona Municipal Code, relating to watering restrictions and delegation of authority to declared water conservation stages. Governor Brown issued Executive Order B 29-15 on April 1st, 2015. This executive order mandated a statewide reduction in potable water use by 25%. Governor Brown made the State Water Resources Control Board responsible for carrying out those mandates. The board used 2013 water usage for all agencies to determine gallons per day per capita baselines for each of the water agencies, and then utilized water usage from July through September of 2014 and 2010 census data for population to determine which one of the 8 water reduction tiers each agency would fall under. Corona initially was placed in Tier 7, which mandated a 32% reduction, which will this will later be adjusted to Tier 6 at a 28% reduction target once the population of the unincorporated areas we serve are factored in. It should be noted that Corona, as with many Southern California agencies, was not given credit for past efforts to reduce water usage, and during the 20 by 20 mandates under Senate Bill X7-7, nor did we get credit for local groundwater development, reductions in imported water, and development and expansion of our reclaimed water system. These mandates definitely penalize low-density inland communities and is squarely aimed at eliminating grass from our landscape. In order to achieve the governor's conservation mandates of
Can you go back to that reclaimed water slide?
Certainly.
Can you talk a little bit more about what you have done? And
so in 2006, we started our reclaimed water system. We've developed it from scratch back early. It started early in the 2000s when we first began talking about it. We received a grant, $5 million grant, plus $20 million worth of state revolving funds to build the project. And since that time, we now reclaim every drop of water possible, with the exception of the water that we lost to Orange County in 1968 settlement. So basically, right now we're reclaiming about 2.2 billion gallons a year of reclaimed water.
Thank you.
So in order to achieve the governor's conservation mandate of 28% reduction in the total water usage within Corona service area, DWP is asking to amend the water conservation ordinance to add flexibility to comply with current and future mandates and regulations pertaining to the drought by delegating to the general manager the authority to determine the appropriate water conservation stage and adjusting the watering windows to achieve the mandated reductions. In addition, we have modified the percentage of reduction within each water conservation stage and added new mandates required by the governor's order that restrict watering outdoor landscape with potable water within 48 hours after a half-inch or more of rain, and prohibiting water of ornamental turf with potable water in public medians.
So go back to that just a sec. So with all the turf removal and other conversion processes, that's only 300 million, and we still have 2 billion additional gallons?
Our total reduction for the period from starting June through February, June 1st to February, the end of February, of 2016, we have to reduce 2.3 billion gallons
That's
from
with a
our,
B.
from our water supply.
Okay.
Staggering number.
Go ahead. Yeah.
But Jonathan, every community is going through this same thing.
Every community, not everybody, obviously, if you were in San Francisco, you got an 8% target because they have high density, and they don't have the weather patterns we have, and they don't have a lot of outdoor irrigation. So every community is going through it. Every community in our area has either 32, usually in the 28, 32, and 36% range. The lower ones fall mostly around the coast. San Francisco, LA had much lower gallons per day per capita because of the densities. So, but every community throughout the state, all agricultural was exempt under the executive order. So every community is going through it, yes, correct.
So, and that's an important point to make, that it's not just us. Yes, we have these staggering numbers, but we're not alone in the situation. And at the same time, the state's threatening these financial penalties, which will be very difficult to impose going across all these communities. But it's motivation for us to move forward, and they'll be tracking the progress we had.
That is very true, but one thing to note that Corona's 2013 gallons per day per capita was 123 gallons per day. There are many inland communities that are up in the 300 and 400 gallons per day. So their low-hanging fruit is much more. There's much more low-hanging fruit for those communities than for Corona. We have been doing a lot of heavy lifting for a long time. It took us to get to 20 by 20. It took us almost 15 years. 20% reductions. We're now being asked to do a 28% reduction in our water usage overnight.
Right, and that makes us unique. I mean, you mentioned there are just very few cities that have done that.
There's very few inland cities that have the extensive reclaimed water. So we've taken a lot of our big water uses that would have been more easy to convert. The school district has been a very early adopter of our reclaimed water system, all of our parks, majority of our parks, a lot of our landscape districts. Our local golf course, the Eagle Glen Golf Course, has been on reclaimed water.
So the burden is heavier on us than by far most communities.
It's a much more difficult path.
Right.
Now the burden now falls squarely on the homeowner. It's the grass that is the problem.
But you had said when we had our study session that we have 50% of our residents are already complying or nearly complying too.
That's very true. Is a lot of residents. We moved a lot of people into. We gave a water budget that allowed you to maintain your landscaping, but many people in our community have gone above and beyond and are currently at the governor's target our target of 89 gallons per day per capita. So that group is not even there's a big group of residents that really don't necessarily, or maybe not there because of their demand is already hardened in their house, can't really contribute to it. So a smaller group of customers will have to contribute the lion's share of the reductions.
If I can just touch on one other thing. I know that people will often question about new development coming in, but at the study session you also mentioned that we have sufficient groundwater and other sources to take care of the needs that the new developments are going to bring. That with the reclaim that we've done, reducing our California aqueduct reducing the amount we take from the Colorado River. We've just done amazing things here. We still have water to do the new developments. The unfortunate part here is it's the state of California just coming after everybody to zing them.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
So in order to achieve the governor's conservation rate of 28% reduction, DWP is amending the water conservation, was asking to amend the water conservation to add flexibility to comply with current and future mandates and regulations pertaining to the drought by delegating to the general manager the authority to determine the water conservation stage and adjusting water window to achieve the mandated reductions. In addition, to modify the percentages of reductions between each water conservation stage and add new mandates required by the governor that include reductions in outdoor watering within 48 hours of half an inch of rain or more, and prohibiting ornamental watering of ornamental turf with potable water in the public medians. And the department is working diligently to make sure we don't have any ornamental turf in our parkways that is either watered by potable water. Most of it will, if it remains, it will be reclaimed, or it has been already removed with California water-friendly materials. If approved, if approved, the department expects to move. If this ordinance is approved tonight, the department expects to move to stage 3, keeping the same watering window of 3 days per week with the same watering time frames, but reducing the maximum watering per zone to 10 minutes per day. This represents a 50% reduction in outdoor potable water usage for irrigation. This 50% reduction is needed to achieve the 28% overall reduction in total water usage. This assumes that while there is some possible savings indoors, the majority of the water savings will have to come from irrigation. It should be noted that each million square feet of turf uses approximately 110 million gallons annually. A million square feet of turf is 23 acres. The scale of this reduction will definitely have an impact on the appearance of landscaping throughout Corona. Before I get to outreach and what we're doing to help, I do have to note that although not directly related to this ordinance, there may be impacts to revenue associated with these mandates that could have negative financial impacts and therefore require rate adjustments above the normal CPI percentages. In addition, the current emergency regulations set forth by Governor Brown in executive order and the State Regional Resources Control Board include penalties for non-compliance with conservation measures. Failure to meet conservation measures may also result in additional unspecified enforcement actions. It basically says there could be other stuff that is not specifically specified in the regulations. The department intends to help our customers and the community mitigate the impacts and avoid punitive penalties and fines by aggressively helping our customers with turf removal rebates, one of which was approved tonight for an additional $1, performing more water audits, irrigation adjustments, and free efficient irrigation nozzle installations. We'll be directly installing the nozzles, instead of asking the people to apply for the nozzles and then hoping that they get installed. We're going to be actually going out during the inspections and helping them install the nozzles.
So we will actually install the nozzles?
Yes, we will.
Mr. Daly, what about the person who has the attitude of, I got enough money, I'll do what I want? The system is set up to identify those that choose not to take any action to adjust their water budgets. Adjustment of your outdoor irrigation for most sprinkler timers is quite simple. It has a seasonal adjustment setting on it. You turn it down. If it's at 100%, you turn it down to 50, and you'll reduce your water usage. What will happen is we will have to take action. If we do not take action, the mandate is very clear that if the agency does not take action, the governor will take action both against the agency and against the governor. Through the State Water Resources Board can and will take action against the individual and the agency.